Welcome to the Real Estate Show on KMED. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you this weekend. And thanks for joining us here on KMED. Over 400 shows. We've talked about real estate issues over a number of years now, Joe. And gosh, you know, the market as we head into, well, I'm almost a month into 2018, looking good for everybody. Demand is high. This is certainly a supply and demand business, as we all know. And the supply right now is still pretty low, and the inventory, although it is coming back,
I'm really
there is more.
encouraged.
There really is. I know you're looking for your number of clients for you, and you've seen more listings come on. Certainly, I have also, and people have
raised
had
all
demand.
our spirits.
People, as we heard in the last few shows over the last few weeks, there's pent-up demand. And so it's coming about as the weather changes. And I think it's going to be really crazy around March and April time.
Oh, gosh, yes. And the sellers that are getting out in front of it right now and are getting in front are getting to these buyers that are just waiting to snap up properties. And when a bigger flood comes a little later, as you mentioned, Pete, in the spring, you get kind of lost in the mix. So it might be a good time, if you're really thinking about it, to get in the market and get in the game.
You know, if you ever buy or sell a house, one of the things you're going to go through is a home inspection. Unless, of course, you pay cash and you want to just waive the inspection and don't do it, then you don't have to actually have an inspection.
If I'm paying cash, I especially want a home inspection.
I have never, in all the years of doing this, I've always told people I would get an inspection, even if you're paying cash. And you want an inspection because you want to know you're buying the place. You want to know what it's like. I mean, is there anything wrong with it, et cetera, right?
Very few buyers, Pete, have the expertise, the background, the hands-on knowledge of building houses, evaluating houses, of being able to take a look, or, you know, we all see the cracks in the wall and the little things, and the roof looks a little rough. We see it, but the home inspector really drills down into everything and anything.
I'm not sure when I met Michael Fowler, somehow we our paths crossed, and since then he's been doing a number of inspections for me and for you at different times. So, Michael, welcome back to the show. You were here before, so it's nice to have you back.
Yeah.
Well, tell us. Home inspecting right now.
Crawling around
January. Tell us what your life has been like here in this last few months or so.
Well, just dryer lint and dirt under houses. You know, it's pretty much the same thing, just on each one. Some of them are a little wetter than others, but
But business-wise, I mean, just tell people what you're doing.
Yeah.
And when you say nuts, explain what.
Well, generally speaking, we're booked out. You know, scheduled at least one home inspection a day for a week out. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much where we're at right now. Maybe a couple. But we're starting to slowly increase that into where we're actually booking out a week and a half. And when we get into that March and April rush, we're going to be, 2 to 3
weeks out again.
Yeah.
So again,
2-3 weeks out and 2 to 3 home inspections a day.
A day. So again, as you plan ahead, you got to think about
that's
this.
A lot of dryer lint.
It's a lot of dryer lint.
What's really important is that if this is what you're saying is true, is that in terms of closing, you want to be able to do that, because when you're doing it, when you write up a new offer, you roughly have about 10 days.
Well, we'd like to hear 15.
Well, you're right, Michael. But in general, when you sign a real estate agreement, you've got 10 to 15 days after the agreement is completed to get the home inspection done.
Right.
And if you're saying you're out, 2-3 weeks out there, you see, it's going to take some time to do that. So you just got to plan ahead.
It's business days, but I'm just here right now with that spring rush ahead of us. I'm going to ask for that for all of my buyers, those extra 5 days, because 10 days is the standard in the contract, but you could certainly ask for and reasonably should maybe as we go forward.
Well, I've added more because it's just I want to have the cushion just in case my inspector can't get there, in the next week or so, because a lot of times that happens. So is the business is just that busy, that much activity going on, that you're in demand.
And right now we're seeing a lot of people that are they're just taking and they're trying to grab what they can out there, and a lot of those happen to be bank-owned properties right now, and it tends to be a lot of REOs and bank-owns that are going to drop them. I think they're probably trying to beat the rush, and get them out there right now.
That you may be right, because I was just looking at this week on the MLS, the number of REOs that either went pending or were sold, including one that I have that went pending, also on an REO. I was just shocked at how many REO, again, foreclosed properties were selling this last week.
Right.
And Michael's saying this is the time of the year where they're putting them out there, trying to get them out.
Well, they have a product that's usually a little lower quality than what a regular homeowner occupied residence is, and so they're wanting to beat the quality issue, I think, and when you go into these properties, again, that inspection period, you're talking about business days, and we'd love to have 10 business days on an REO inspection, but in all reality, they say, no, it's calendar days.
Right, they do. Yes.
Oh, they do calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't
and
think
if
that's
you've got a couple weekends in there, your inspection period goes to nothing. And I work with a lot of, realtors that we have really good personal relationships, and I like to try to cater to those people because they're my bread and butter. They're my business, and they call me up and they go,
Michael, can you get here in the next 2 days? That was my thing with them. Michael, can you get here? I can meet you now.
Yeah, and so we're dropping everything, to try to, treat our quality realtors with the best service we possibly can give them. And and the banks do inherently make it difficult, and especially when we're in the middle of our busiest season, and then we've got somebody, that drops a REO in the middle of that. It's like, wow, okay, well, we're working Sundays again.
Some of those properties have been vacant for years.
I've got properties that literally, I kid you not, I had inspected prior to 2011 that I'm just now, when I was in doing property preservation.
Really?
They're just coming back on the market.
They're coming onto the market for sale. They've finally gone through all the conveyances and all of the paperwork and everything.
Because we always wonder what that mystical formula is for how those finally come back into the market.
It's
there
crazy.
were a lot of properties that were vacant for years. Remember, we were talking about those different people, but they were all bank-owned properties. Here they are now coming back through the system. It'll be interesting to see the stats and see if it's actually having an impact on these REOs that are foreclosed right now.
Some of the banks are
come out
actually
now. Yeah, as you mentioned,
actually doing some smart work though. What they're doing is a couple of the banks and a couple of the REO realtors I still work with, because I do some minor preservation mechanic work. They're actually having me go in and actually not only change the locks, but then they're having me do a full home inspection, wall flow test, everything that they can do, get out in front of it, and then they throw that back onto the realtor and go, okay, now put the numbers together, and what are we going to get if we rehab this, or what are we going to get if we just throw it on the market?
Interesting.
And a lot of them have been being rehabbed.
Are being rehabbed.
Yeah.
And these are really nice homes when they come back on the market, and they tend to be a little more reasonable. And I mean, but I've gone into some of them, and they're, a lot of times we always say, we had the flippers out there for years.
Right,
and it's
right,
like lipstick on a pig, and we'd look through the cracks and stuff, and it's like, and now with these though, they're really doing some quality work. They're actually going underneath, they're fixing the plumbing, they're fixing the structural issues that there are any, or, a dropped column or something like that. And they're actually putting some work into the areas where people don't see. And when you go in to look at one of these, you're saying, okay, well, there's a perceived value for the cosmetic capability of what they can do. And a lot of the flippers were putting all their money there, but they weren't doing anything structurally or plumbing or electrical and stuff. They're actually putting the money into those areas you can't see. So upgrade some electrical.
Michael, is this because you think they're wanting a higher? Obviously, they're wanting a higher price for them.
The value
is going up.
Yeah. Well, and you look at some of the numbers when you look at what the house got bought back for.
Right.
And what it's being sold for.
Yeah.
Right. It's $100,000 difference.
Well,
in
even
the
higher, some of them, yes, absolutely.
So they are the flippers. They're beating the flippers to the flip, and they're turning that house back onto the market.
Exactly.
Yeah, because they're going to recoup that. They got a strong chance to recoup that. That's really interesting. The only downside is those properties that they have not rehabbed and have been vacant since 2011
are falling apart.
Those are the ones that need home inspections the most, because all of those systems have been idle and strained and through winters and summers. And those are the ones you have the shortest window to get to. That does.
There's one big difference.
They could do better for our clients.
There's one big difference that Michael is saying though here is that the ones that he's talking about are bank-owned properties.
Yeah.
They are not FHA foreclosures because FHA foreclosures, you go through the inspection, you have the report, you have an appraisal done, and they have a value.
Right.
The bank-owned homes like Chase Bank or Wells Fargo, this is what you're talking about, Michael. They don't do that. So they're just going to spend, they get them back cheap. They're putting some money into them to get the value up because, as you say, Joe, the values have risen for them when they took them back in 2011. Here it is in 2018. You better believe the value is higher.
They're quick to figure that out.
Wow, you think of that. Okay, it makes a big difference when you're looking at these things. But again, for our listeners, there are a number of bank-owned homes that are on the market right now that are selling at a pretty good clip around the valley. In both counties. In fact, they're out there right now.
And you remember we looked at the 5-bedroom one up on Foothill, between the freeway and the river, up towards Grants Pass. that was an REO and didn't have any knobs on the cabinets. But I have a buyer who has the skills and the wherewithal to take care of all of that. The only thing that deterred that was there's such a steep pitch and a bad condition to the driveway. Oh. In his due diligence, he found out that the permits and the geo work and things like that to create a workable driveway were going to be cost prohibitive. But that property, gosh, that had potential to.
Might be cheaper to get four-wheel drive.
Potential is only in the eye.
There.
Potential's in the eye of the beholder only. And again, but people, the thing that I come back to is this is where I think the inspections and stuff are so big. Buyers today are wanting houses that they can move into. They don't want to go. They don't want to go in and do a lot of work into them. They're paying premium prices.
Well, a lot of them don't even have the money once they get into them to take and go paying for paint and new floor covering, and they just don't have it. I mean,
there are loans to do that, but again, if you could avoid more debt, you don't want to do that.
Exactly.
That's what we're
seeing.
Yeah.
Right. See these kids. They've got 3 kids, and they've got they're late 20s, and they're buying their first house, and they just don't got it.
Right.
It was amazing.
And they don't know what to do when they get into doing it either. Yeah. That's the other part.
Eventually, because they're buying a house, though, eventually they will have a little equity. They will be able to take care of it, to fix it up. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, Michael is a certified master inspector and has been around doing this a long time. When you go today, what are the big things that draw your attention when you go in? Again, that our listeners, as you prepare, because if you're going to sell your place this year, you need to get, I'm doing this, and we're going to go through this in the next 6 months with me because I'm selling my house now, actually.
Yeah, be some good stories.
We're going to have some good stories. So I'm trying to think of what do you look for as you go into inspections that sellers need to be aware of that they're going to maybe up against? What are the big things?
Well, the big thing is even as a seller, I recommend have an inspection done.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, know what product you've got to sell. Don't get any big surprises out in the open instead of making them a big surprise after the deal hits.
You're talking about a pre-home inspection
for a seller.
For a seller, Joe, I'm doing this. I swear to you, we've talked about this for too many years, and here's my chance. I got to do a pre-inspection. Okay.
Well, yeah, because for too many years and for you always hear it. It's hindsight's 2020. And you take and. It's one of those things that just constantly gnaws at you that you've got to take and do an inspection and find out what you've got before you can sell it.
Right.
Once you do that, things will pop up. It might be important, might not be. I've told some sellers, just get to your inspection. At least you know what you got, and then roll with it. Don't take and fix anything, but at least you know what's on the table.
Right.
The next inspector coming in, to be honest, might not see what I see.
Right.
When I do a seller's inspection, I'm incredibly I just do a ton of due diligence on this house. I mean, I'll spend a whole day there just to make sure that I've gone through every nook and cranny. Because the one thing I don't want to have happen, not that my colleagues are out to get me, but I don't want one of them coming and saying, "Wow, I can't believe Mike didn't see that."
Well, I've had that. Somebody missed this thing.
And we're all human. We're going to miss stuff. It just is a fact. And I just want to try to be as thorough as I possibly can on every inspection, whether it's for a buyer or seller. But on sellers, I tend to be a little bit more.
Knowledge is power when it comes to the negotiating game, and when it comes to putting a deal together. That seller's in the driver's seat if he knows what he's got and what's going to come up.
Now, the caveat to that is if you got a bunch of things going on, then you're going to have to to
Right. If you find something out. But what are the big things?
Maybe to your benefit to fix it yourself.
Exactly.
Before. Especially if you know that the inspector is going to find it.
Exactly.
What would some of those be, maybe, Michael, that would fall in that category?
Well, I mean, just simple things like inside the electrical panel. If you've never opened it up and you've owned the house for 20 years and some guy owed it for 40 years before that, that happened to be an old ranch hand or something, you might want to pop the lid on that thing and see how many double taps you got going on. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Take and look at the plumbing. Find out if you just, maybe you made some repairs yourself. Okay. A lot of people don't understand. You can't put copper and galvanized pipe together.
You're talking about creative home repairs and double tapping. And,
if you're a person that's generally hired contractors or licensed contractors to do the work around your home, you probably don't have too much to worry about. But if you're the type of handy guy that likes to go down to Lowe's and pick some things up and do it yourself, there's probably some areas that you might have made some shortcuts.
And in your own house, remember, remember, you can do your own repairs. You
Oh,
don't have to have an
absolutely.
inspection.
Yeah.
But if you hire somebody, what's the one thing you want to do? You want to hire a licensed inspector
Bonded,
to
yep.
do the thing, or you're going to get nailed, right?
Yep.
You got to have that. You got to have that around.
Yep.
Because without it, you're really messed up.
You're
right?
rolling the dice. Is
Yeah,
what
you're rolling
doing.
the dice with that.
and they're
And-
big dice with big
Yeah.
outcomes.
And you really don't want to do that, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, I grew up on a farm, and I mean, you could hook extension cords together far enough to take and make any line you wanted long enough, But is it right? No, it's not. So, close wire
creative
nuts, things like that.
Electrical
Electricians,
issues.
Yeah, electrical plumbing issues are seems to be probably the two
That
biggest
beam
homeowner
that
things.
HVAC.
sags in the middle
Okay,
of your
HVAC
60
and
foot
other
ceiling.
things like that are all a pre-inspection. I think it makes a whole lot of sense to do that. We've got a break coming up. The Real Estate Show continues here on KMED here today. We're coming right back right after this. The Real Estate Show rolls on KMED this weekend. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the real estate guys here. Don't forget, you can check out any of our past shows at realestateshoworegon.com. In fact, of course, we're on Sunday, but on Saturday at 11 o'clock where we used to be, the show is there every Saturday for you at 11 o'clock there at realestateshoworegon.com. So you can listen to it on your iPhone, you can listen to it on your iPhone, things like that. So we want to make sure it's there, right?
Yeah, you spent Thursday with some pretty good company at the
Business Forum?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot going on. It's encouraging that the economy here is doing so well. And I think that even, in fact, in March, first part of March, Colleen Padilla, who's the executive director of So Ready, will be joining us again, like she does every year, to talk about business and how the issue in real estate is that there's no place to house people coming here to work,
right?
Even who have businesses now, things like that. So it's really, housing is a big issue, man. I can't believe as we go along and how bigger it's becoming because there isn't enough of it.
You're not
That's the problem.
You're not the only one who hung out with big shots this week. I spent an hour with Brian Shotun, the city manager for the city of Medford. And the Housing Advisory Committee was one of the things we talked about in the Medford Forum. That's their monthly program on Rogue Valley Community Television. It's available on the City of Medford website. And the Housing Advisory Committee is looking at all kinds of incentives for developers to help and for districts. And even urban renewal might get in the game down the road of identifying districts where they can help development take place and happen. And
the city needs to be partners and not subsidized. To me, that's the difference in housing, especially for affordable housing that we need so badly.
There are some really successful models that they have looked at within our own state and
maybe
on the West Coast that would be great to have Kelly Manning and Brian Shotun.
We get Brian to come and talk to us about housing in the
Kelly
city of
is
Medford.
assistant city manager.
What happens in Medford, it goes everywhere else around the valley. The issue is housing in Medford, and then it goes from there. Today we're with Michael Fowler, who's a certified master inspector here in the Rogue Valley. He's been doing this for 13 years now, and a home inspector does all the types of different inspections that you can imagine. Michael, one of the things that's happened too is that technology, is so taking over so much.
Absolutely.
Is technology and home inspection something that you are involved with, or is it still kind of the old-fashioned way of going and looking? No?
No. When we first started doing this, it was basically a checklist report and take some pictures. You'd drive them down and get them processed at Safeway or wherever, and you send the pictures in with the checklist, and a week later you get your home inspection report.
That's how you started with it. Oh, my God. Okay. That's not that way today, is it?
Now it's like, well, when I'm done with the inspection, the client's standing there wanting to know where there's printed paper report, like I have a color copier in my car or something sometimes. But
your phone could spit it out.
Yeah, right. Bloop. And no, we still get them out. We try to get them out the next day. In all actuality, we do reserve the right to do 48 hours. But there are a lot of interesting, crazy new tools that came out that are within the financial perspective of a home inspector like myself to have in their arsenal, such as thermography equipment where we can see into walls.
Thermography.
Yes. It's basically infrared light. It allows us to take and look at a wall and see if it has a temperature differential of over a single degree, actually. If we did, then we know if there's insulation or not in the wall.
Oh, okay, sure.
Okay. And also going underneath houses, we can see.
Underneath houses,
we can see if we're running hot water in the tubs, and then we shine our thermography camera underneath there. We're actually going to see it immediately because of the great temperature variation, heating and air conditioning that's leaking. air leaks around doors, windows, attics,
those,
things,
yeah.
all those things. So
All
anywhere
those
where
new
there's
tools you
all
can
the
actually
places
show.
where we can, for heat. And then I'm also the innovator of the Crawlbot. It's a 6-wheeled understructure drone. It takes high resolution video underneath homes.
Wait. 6 wheels.
6 wheels.
Drives
underneath the house.
Joe, you needed that in your house when you had the flood under there.
Yeah, I know, but
you could have really had. You needed that.
I
thing.
was just waiting to ask when you were going to have the inspection bot. So where you just drive up and let it out of your truck, and it comes back and spits out the report.
Yeah.
For
So
your
this
client.
goes underneath the house, and
Correct.
you can look
It's not
underneath
far
in the
And
to
in
look
some
at
of the
things.
older challenge homes we have in the area, that's great. I mean, you got 6 inches of crawl space, and under
no doubt.
under the scope of a normal home inspection, we don't have to crawl anywhere where it would jeopardize our life or health or safety.
Okay.
And
Or where there's spiders, if I was
spiders
an
I don't care
inspector.
about. Spiders are fine. They're just 8-legged friends.
Yeah. If you have to deal with them.
So anyway, we take and when I'm underneath there, if I find areas that are crawl space challenged that I just can't literally get into, I can send the Crawlbot in there. It's only 6 inches tall. It can literally drive over a pony wall, or a concrete block, say. So it's a very versatile piece of equipment.
It's a little tank.
Wow, you really have a lot
it's a
of
little tank. It really is. It's really cool. It's fun to play with.
What about floors? Can you make?
Yeah.
Because I've seen people. I've been in many places, where you walk into the house and you kind of go this way or that way, and it's not real level.
Yeah.
Is that?
I have
do
this
that
wonderful
too?
marble in my pocket that has this. It's called
The marble,
It's
yeah.
called frit on the outside, so it's not perfectly round. It's got like these little divots, kind of like a golf ball, but it slows it down enough to where it rolls around. But beyond that piece of technology,
That's old school.
That's a little old school, but it gets you in the ballpark.
But these things that you're
or the marble
doing
park.
are the buyers or the sellers, whoever's paying for your inspection.
Correct.
Are they're using this information that there is something that
Correct.
they're really
Absolutely.
wanting now?
Yeah, and all these services we offer at no additional charge to our inspection at my discretion when we're out there doing these. And like our digital leveling skills, we have a digital level now that can go 200 feet from one end to one point, from base point to the other point, and actually tell you if you're within like 0.2 of an inch. So that's huge when you're taking and looking at a manufactured home set, looking at some of our east side homes that, it's like, historically, some of those homes have slipped and had some settling issues.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or over in the Cedar Links and Delta Waters area where everything's built on black sticky, or out in Eagle Point, same thing. I mean, I used to hunt pheasant over there where there's houses everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no
I mean,
doubt.
it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So, but you can go in there and you can take and set this level up, and I can tell you, where you're at. And it's great because then we can digitally map the entire foundation of the home and see where the set is of the floor.
A lot of people you talked about manufactured homes, and when you
Correct.
inspect those,
Yeah.
and here's an interesting. Tell us, listen to this one. That about manufactured homes.
Well, with manufactured homes, a lot of people ask me, they go, well, what kind of home would you live in? And I would have to be honestly, I'd probably have to live in like a manufactured home, because I don't know many homes that can go down the freeway 80 miles an hour and end up at the location they're supposed to be in one piece. They're just not. Standard stick built homes are great. I can just, Brad's probably spinning right now.
Yeah, Red Bennington. Yes, he is. Yeah.
I'll see him at church probably. What are you doing? So, but anyway, yeah.
But it's an alternative. Manufactured homes,
Absolutely.
alternative housing.
Absolutely.
But
they're built to pretty high-
they're built pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, manufactured home, I can be in and out of, and I mean, everything's usually in perfect shape, and they could be a 1977 model. I mean, there's models out there, they all have their challenges with like polybutylene piping and stuff like that. But we have houses that have problems with polybutylene
Same
piping.
thing.
So,
And they hold their own over time.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the biggest. I think that's one of the biggest things
they
that
get
would
dated
discourage
really
buyers.
quick.
Yeah.
If they get dated, you have to update that part of
Yeah.
thing. Tell me, when you do home inspections, say in an urban area versus a rural properties, are the inspections different, or are they similar? They're different.
No,
okay.
absolutely different. Because in you got the cowboy mentality or living out on the ranch mentality. It's all about the ranch. It's all about the country living. It's keep it working. And you got to realize that if you're living downtown, you're 2 blocks from Home Depot, and you need a wire nut, you'll probably go over to Home Depot and buy it. But if you don't, you're going to use duct tape and twist the wires together.
I'm going to get something weird.
I didn't know they had wire nuts.
Yeah.
Always had duct tape.
Yeah,
That's how they do that. When you're in the country, you got to do it yourself.
That's
so
right.
there is a difference there. So
Absolutely.
when you see those.
So we see a lot of stuff. And also country homes tend to be homes that I don't know. It seems like that most of the homes that are selling in the country seem to have been there longer.
Okay.
So they're older homes.
Okay.
And because they're older homes, they haven't been renewed as much. And they just they have their own little quirks and stuff like that. But like I tell people, you got a few cracks here and there and stuff. And especially in vacant homes. I was going to say that earlier when we were talking about REOs. And vacant homes are all homes are living, breathing organisms. They need somebody to be in them, living and moving around. They need to be climate controlled, and when they're not, and they go through these huge temperature swings, it really tears them up.
Yeah.
It really does. And out in the country, same thing. You got more extremes out there than you do downtown. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Tell me about, we got a break coming up here, and I want to ask you about mold.
Oh.
Because so many people.
We don't use the M word ever.
We don't use the stechabachi.
Organic growth.
Organic growth. Look at this, stechabachi. I remember the word stechabachi too. So look at this.
I know
organic
what it looks like, and I know what it smells like.
Because people talk about it all the time.
Whatever you want to call it.
Whatever it is, it freaks people out. We're going to talk about that with you, Michael, when we come back after this. Real Estate Show continues here on KMED. Don't forget, check them all out, realestateshoworegon.com. We're coming right back after this. Real Estate Show rolls on here on KMED this weekend. Pete Belcaster and Joe Brett, the real estate guys, with you. Don't forget, check out those past shows at realestateshoworegon.com. They're all available there, including our new shows that are there on Saturday mornings, too. So, we'll give you a chance to beat the radio to it, I guess, a little bit, too.
That's tantalizing.
You got them all done, You
can hear it before it hits the airwaves.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Terrific shows. My goodness. You learned everything from the new tax laws, what the market's like, all sorts of things. I mean, there's just lots of really interesting information in this market right now. Today, Michael Fowler from Functional Photo. Michael is a certified master home inspector with us today on the Real Estate Show, talking about, home inspections and what to expect, because we're all going to go through them at some point and learning a little bit more about them. Okay, Michael, tell me about organic growth.
Organic growth.
I won't say the M word anymore, but organic growth.
Thank you.
But it's out there, and I know people just freak about this. So tell me, what do you see a lot of it, or what do you see out there?
The freak part comes from Streptococcus, which was the toxic black mold that our news media just blew out of proportion.
Okay.
And basically, they made it so anyone sees anything that's growing, the black stuff around your bathtub, for instance.
Yeah.
It's like, quick, get the kids out, don't breathe it, you're going to die.
Right.
It's not going to happen. You've got molds, mildews, all these different things. Mold can be, it can be acutely reactive to the people that live in the home. It can cause respiratory distress. It can cause headaches and cause all different types of things.
If you don't take care of it.
If you don't take care of it.
Yeah.
The first question we ask in any mold situation or any organic growth situation is, where's the moisture?
Yep.
Right, the moisture.
Moisture's got to be present for this to grow.
Fungi must have moisture.
Exactly. And so we find the moisture, and then as soon as we find the moisture, we take and we eliminate it. Mm-hmm. If there is visible organic growth, we don't need to do testing. Okay, there's no reason to do testing other than if we want to specifically figure out what it is. It's better just to take and move into a remediation process.
Right, to remediation.
I was going to say mitigate was the M word.
Yeah.
The good M word.
Remediation.
Is take it out.
Take it out. And it could be as simple as taking in bleach water and wiping it off the wall.
Right, there's different ways of doing it.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of it, I guess is my question, when you go around?
We see a bit, a lot.
Yeah,
I was at a job just yesterday. In fact, we seen it, and the realtor had a mold expert come in, and
mold
they
expert, lots of money. Here we go.
And they and I kind of cringe when I hear that, and that's fine. I mean, the buyer's willing to do whatever they're willing to do. That's fine. But they had a organic stain in the attic that they were quite concerned with. And most of the organic staining we see in attics, the black staining, is cladosporium. It's a mildew. It's a wood mildew.
Wood mildew. Okay.
It's very usually innocuous to humans. Usually no acute reaction. Can be easily painted out and painted over. Just kills any stain blocker. Usually gets rid of it. I have seen people take it to the nth degree and actually take and remove all the insulation.
People, I'm sure, go and everybody has their own choice of what to do there. I think
you
more
can
than
do
anything,
what you want to do.
It's how much money you want to spend on it, how much do you want to deal with that. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then taking spore samples after it's remediated, and then checking the spore counts and see if we have an imbalance or out of balance house. But most of the molds that we see are either penicillium or aspergillus. They're common water-based molds that are in our environment. And we just take a spore sample outside, spore sample inside. We measure the two, and we see if the house is in balance or out of balance. It's really difficult because
so you really want to be smart if you find it, because it may not be as bad as you think or whatever.
Absolutely. Well, and it requires some additional testing sometimes too to really get into it.
Okay.
Because there's not. I mean, I'll do spore samples, but I'm not completely in the whole bleachers that says that that's the tell-all of what's going on.
Do you inspect? I'm sure you've inspected cannabis homes.
Oh yeah,
that we saw lots of organic growth in some of those. Remember some of the shows that we did over there?
Very green.
Do you still see that today, or tell me what you're experiencing there?
The thing with cannabis homes is finding out if I see the connection of neighbors more so than the direct relation to them being in the home. If it's in the home, you can take an ozonator in there and kill it, and it's done and gone. And it is an oil. It can be somewhat hard to remediate, but most of the time it's pretty easy to get rid of. So, but the big problem comes in, you buy a home and then you have a guy next door that's growing more than he should, and then you have a customer call you and say, I think a dead skunk died under my home. Could you come over and take a look? And
it wasn't a dead skunk. It was next door's cannabis smell.
Yeah, and it's like...
Well, that's going to be...
It's towards late fall.
That is going to be... That's going to continue to be a big issue among a lot of people in rural areas, and even in urban areas where they're doing it absolutely illegally there.
Well, it's like Joe said, the good news is...
There's not a skunk dead under your house.
Bad news is harvest isn't for another 3 weeks. But I think respecting your neighbors, but then again, I tell all my customers, I go, before they buy their house, they probably should go next door and meet their neighbors.
It's always a good idea.
I mean, it's like you're wanting to park it here for a while,
and you're spending a lot of money. That's a good idea.
And the people most frustrated are the people who have lived for a long time or even have their next generations living on a property, and then the new neighbors come in, and that's where the game changes after 35 years. And those are the people that I see show up before the Jackson County Board of Commissioners and voice their concerns.
And you're seeing more of them, aren't you, now? Over the last few years, come in and complain about those things.
It's just a real game changer.
My grandpa used to always say, fences make great neighbors and gates make better ones.
Yeah, that's really true. Well, we're going to run out of time here, and I want to get back to Michael's again in terms of home inspections, that you need them. They are important. They are, if you're a buyer, they are your way out. If you want to get out of the deal, if you find organic growth on there that you don't like, you can walk away from that deal based on the inspection. So the key to it is to get an inspector who you trust and know who's going to do the job for you. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And one of the things that Michael does that I really like, Michael, you also do like well flow tests and water tests. You do all of those kinds. You offer more than just the home inspection for people. That's kind of seems like the trend in your business, isn't it?
Yeah, we're the only inspector in Jackson County, I think, that does both the well flow and the home inspection.
Yeah.
There's one in Josephine County.
Yeah, so. But that's a good thing. I mean, it gives you, it cuts one person out. It takes lots of things to do.
And we offer forever follow-up, too. I mean, I've been called in the middle of the night and had people say, well, the well quit working. And it's like, okay, that's fine. What happened? Well, the power went off. Okay, when the power went off, did you use the water? Yes. Okay, well, the low pressure switch went down. You got to go out there and lift a little lever on it. A lot of people don't know this kind of stuff. You call the well guy, it's $80. So I just saved him $80.
It's that rural living dream.
Yes.
It doesn't come with an instruction booklet.
Them, when they are on a well, hey, are you aware of how it is to live on a well? I mean, do you know how to take care of your own water resource? Because that's what you're in charge of it now. You just don't call the city and say,
just don't turn the tap on. Yeah.
Well, you want to get from Michael a pre-home inspection if you're going to sell. Know what you've got. He's got new tools that can help in these inspections. The biggest thing is get it done and know what you're doing, so you can make good decisions down the road.
Information is power.
Good work, Michael. We're out of time. Michael Fowler, you can catch a functional photo. You can Google him. He's there. He's a terrific home inspector.
Facebook.
And thank you for being us as well, and also on Facebook. That'll do it for the Real Estate Show today. For Pete and Joe, have a great week, everybody. God bless you all. We'll talk to you next weekend back here on KMED for the Real Estate Show.
You've been listening to the Real Estate Show on KMED Radio, presented by the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, along with John L. Scott Real Estate of Southern Oregon and Bank 34 Mortgage. For guest contact information, download our free app, or to watch a past show, visit us online at realestateshoworegon.com. This show is produced by Table Rock Productions. Join us again next weekend for Southern Oregon's one and only Real Estate Show on KMED. And thank you for making the Real Estate Show part of your weekend.